Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Misha Longford and today I'm going to talk to you about the pros and the cons of home buying or becoming a first-time home buyer. Now I'm going to tell you before we start that I am biased because I am pro home ownership. Home ownership is one of the safest safest investments that you can do. Also, home ownership provides financial security, creates generational wealth, and helps you to start build a legacy. So how could I be against anything that has such great benefits for your long-term goals? So I'm going to jump into the cons first because I'm a positive girl and I like to talk about positive things, but we got to get through it because the video is pros and cons. So I'm going to start with the cons, get it over with, and then we're going to get into some positive stuff. Okay, so my first con is going to be something that I hear a lot of, and that's going to be financial responsibility. So of course, with owning a home, you are financially responsible for your anything that happens pretty much in that home. So that means if the refrigerator breaks, if the stove breaks, your AC or your heater, all of those things are now your responsibility to fix. Now, I've heard a couple of people give me a line of saying, I'm not sure if I want to buy a home or not because what if my refrigerator breaks? If my refrigerator breaks now in an apartment, I can have one in a couple of hours because it's my landlord's responsibility. While that is excellent and great, I want to tell you guys something. Do not be afraid or do not let financial responsibility stop you from purchasing a home. The first thing is, refrigerators, stoves, ACs, and heaters do not break every month. They don't break every year. They don't break every week. This is something that you can pretty much prepare for before you buy a home by having an emergency fund. In addition to that, there's also things such as a home warranty that you can purchase that will cover a lot of items in your house. There is no need to worry about financial responsibility stopping you from buying a house. You just have to prepare. I told you I was biased, so my cons are always going to come with a solution. I'm not going to give you a problem without handing you a solution. I've already warned you. Okay, so con number 2 is going to be, I want to say flexibility. So of course in an apartment, there's not really a lot of commitment. You get a year's lease at the most, and after that, you're free to do whatever you want. You can decide whether or not that neighborhood or that place that you are is no longer suits your needs. If you've decided you want to up and move across the country, you can without as much commitment. So, of course, when you purchase your home, you're not going to be able to do that. It's going to require you to either sell your home, or if you have the option to turn it into an investment property, lease it, or rent it to someone, which is actually a very good option and part of my flip side to that con. A home is an investment, and so if you decide at some point after 3 to 5 years to move, you can always sell that home afterwards, or like I said, you can always become a investor and lease or rent that property out. That's my solution. Okay, so con number 3, final con. Final con I would say that I hear somewhat about is the upfront cost of purchasing a home. Of course, when you go into an apartment or a rental situation, a lot of times you only need 1 month of rent or security deposit in order to move in. But with a home, you have such things as closing costs as well as down payment. Now again, I don't want you to be scared by the sound of those costs because there are things that you can do or things that can be done to alleviate some of those costs. There are contributions the seller can provide you with depending on what's negotiated before you close. The seller can contribute some closing costs to your purchase, and there's also down payment assistance programs. In the absence of those two are an option, again, those savings come a long way when purchasing a home, and it just means that you have to prepare. Okay? All right, now we're gonna move into these pros because, like I said, I'm a pro girl, and I like to talk about positive stuff and things that are not negative, right? Opposite of positive is negative, and I like to talk about positive. So we're gonna go into my favorite pro. I'm gonna start off with my favorite, and I'm trying not to be too lengthy about this. I'm gonna get straight to the point. And I mentioned it a little bit before, but pro number one is that you are purchasing a home as an investment. So let me give you an example. When you rent your apartment, you are renting an apartment. Let's give a time period to this rental. So let's say 3 to 5 years you rent your apartment. Let's say 3 years. So in 3 years you rent your apartment, and once you move out, that's it. There's nothing. You're done. Please leave my place clean, or I'm gonna charge you another fee. That's as much as you get. Nothing else. But in a home, when you decide to move, depending on market, in most cases, you're going to you can sell that home for more than you purchased. So in theory, you have to pay to live anywhere. So what I'm saying is basically, after the 3 years, and if you decide to move, you're gonna sell the house, and you're gonna get that 3 years back plus. That's an investment. Definitely a reason, the pro, to purchase in a home. Okay, so we're gonna talk about pro number 2. Pro number 2 is going to be the cost of your mortgage versus the cost of your renting. It is way less money to actually purchase a home than it is to rent. I mean, the supply and demand on rental properties and apartments are going up. A lot of people are moving to Atlanta. Rentals are having less and less, it's more and more competitive to rent. People are snatching up homes and apartments like crazy. There's waiting lists, and it's just very expensive in some areas to rent. So a lot of times, for the price that you can get for a home, an apartment, you can sometimes pay $200, $300, or $400 less in a mortgage, which means that you're going to pay less money to buy than you would to rent. Definitely a pro. Alrighty, so it's pro number 3 is going to be stability, which is kind of an offset to my second con, which was flexibility. No flexibility. So stability, and when you buy a home, you get more stability. You know how much you're gonna pay each month, with a little bit of fluctuation for taxes and insurance. Not that much, just a little. And you're able to kind of plan for your future, because you know that in a year, market rates are not gonna go up, which is gonna send your cost of living sky high. So you are able to have a stable financial kind of security going forward, knowing how much you're going to pay each and every month. In addition to that, you also don't have to move in a year. So if your plan is to be in a place 3 to 5 years, it is much better to rent, in my opinion at least, and a lot of people's. It is better for you to purchase instead of rent. So that's going to be pro number 3. So let's go to pro number 4. And I know what you're thinking already. I have already outweighed my pros to my cons. I have more pros than I have cons. And I warned you again, this is another warning. I already know that I am pro home ownership. So of course my list on the pro side will be longer. But don't worry, we're almost done. Okay, so pro number 4 is your ability to, let me back up. Currently, we're in the middle of a pandemic, which is COVID-19. And so during the pandemic, in the beginning, there was a lot of uncertainty. And for the most part, there is still some uncertainty. I will say this, and this is not by far a rule of thumb, but there was a lot of homeowners that were able to contact their mortgage companies and have a different conversation than a lot of renters were able to have with their landlords. So I'm gonna call pro number 4 security. So what do I mean? Once COVID-19 came and the government started to shut down states, or the government started to shut down the country, there were a lot of people who were underemployed or unemployed as a result. And as a homeowner, you had the option to contact your mortgage company and have a conversation. Now, did this work each and every time? No, this was not a perfect rule of thumb, but I can tell you that a lot of homeowners were able to definitely have a conversation with their mortgage companies that would prevent them from going into default and help them stay in their homes. Whether that was a number of different options, deferments or whatever, there were options that were presented. Life happens, and sometimes conversations need to be had around these topics. On the flip side, there weren't a lot of breaks for renters. You had to have your rent the first of the month as if the pandemic had never happened. So another pro that came up, of course, recently in this current environment is going to be security. You are a little bit more secure in owning your home than you are renting. Okay, so pro number 5. Now this is one that I'm going through right now because I'm currently doing a lot of things to my home, ripping up floors, changing carpets and painting and things like that. You are able to customize your home to exactly how you want it. If you have been stuck in a house like we have for the last 3 to 4 months and you are totally over that countertop, guess what you can do? You can go down to Home Depot and get you another one. That is not something you can do in an apartment. So pro number 4, like I said, you can customize. You can pretty much update and arrange and rearrange and decorate and redecorate as you like. Now I know that may not sound like a lot of fun, but trust me, after something like we're going through now, I can definitely appreciate being able to do a lot of those DIY projects. And if you're somebody who likes DIY projects, it's right up your alley. Okay, there you have it. My pros and my cons for home ownership. Now I know you're thinking, you didn't address all my needs. Your pros outweighed your cons, and I'm still a little unsure about actually moving into purchasing a home. And that is absolutely fine. If you have any questions or concerns or need any assistance in the process or even deciding whether or not it's for you, please feel free to contact me in any of the information I'll leave below this video. Whether you are a first-time home buyer or investor, I am happy to be your guide in finding you the perfect match to any of your real estate needs. I look forward to seeing you soon in my next video where I will talk about Atlanta, moving to Atlanta, and just kind of giving you some insight on that. So until then, which is soon, I look forward to seeing you, and we'll talk soon.